Hello everyone, and welcome to this video where we will be looking at the security control framework and the associated concepts. This follows from our previous session where we have discussed governance and management, including the third-party management related topics. Security control framework is an special case of governance which actually encompasses the organization security, process, procedures, and a solution which allow for the implementation of those policies and procedures. The decision to govern a security control framework can be of two types. One is bottom up, where the actions at the bottom part of the organization layer decides what kind of framework needed to protect and keep the organization secure. So this is more action driven. The other concept around this is top down, where the decision at the top, for instance at the top level management, decide what kind of security aspect that needs to be implemented to keep the organization secure. One is not better than other, and the application of either one of them depends on what kind of organization your business is part of. For example, high trust, which is a security control framework, is a precursor to HIPAA, the Health Information and Privacy Protection law in US, and that has been implemented in different ways across the healthcare organizations. The control framework is a high-level concept which need to be driven for implementation by solid principles, and that's where the security governance principle comes into picture. They define dominantly what is the mission of your organization, what vision that your organization hold to reach and achieve its goals. What are the values while conducting the business that your organization wants to have? What sort of strategic objectives and goals that you want to build in order to achieve the missions, the vision, or the values that you entail as an organization? And how do you measure what you have decided and what you have acted upon? And that is driven by actions and key performance indicators. Please do keep into consideration that strategy and mission may or may not change together. Mission is a very high level concept, while strategy is something can be short term compared to a mission, and hence it may be frequently changeable. Objectives are even short term, but the goals associated to achieve those objectives can be long term, and we will see in the later part of this video how the goals are built. In terms of letting the organization follow the path to achieve the mission and the objectives and the values of an organization, they need to be driven and be given actionable input in terms of policies, standards, and guidelines. These are very frequently interchangeable terms, but they do carry a different meaning, so please pay great attention to it, because in the exam they will be tested for what is the real definition of each one of this. For example, policies are the mandatory rules, so to say, which organization needs to follow. For example, organization may have a policy to apply least privilege principle for every access management control that has been provided to keep the organization safe and secure. Standards, as published by industry, specific or much wider context, are also sort of mandatory in nature in terms of that they set the good rules that needs to be followed to remain safe and secure, whether you are part of a particular industry or it is in general that you are following a given standard. Procedures in that aspects are also mandatory because following those steps, you are more or less sure to be getting the right results and then achieving what the policy has dictated and ultimately achieving what mission and value that you want to achieve as an organization. Baselines are more of the benchmarks above which that if you operate and apply, you are bound to get the best value out of following those steps and therefore be able to comply with your policies. Guidelines, on the other hand, are also best practices, but they are not mandatory in nature. They are very much dependent on the business context and the security context in which your organization is operating. For example, a control which is applicable for payment industry may not be applicable for an organization working in automotive. So do keep this distinction very clear. In terms of planning to achieve your organization goals, also in terms of applying the policies and procedures and guidelines, you need to have planning. Planning is dominantly of three types: operational, tactical, and strategic. Strategic is a high level aspect where you plan for future, say in terms of 3 to 5 years. So they are very high level. Tactical, on the other hand, are short terms. They do have to align with your strategic planning, otherwise they lose the means and purpose for which they are formulated, but they are of short duration in terms of running on a basis of yearly projects that you want to acquire a company in a given year, which will further help you in achieving the objectives and the mission and the values of an organization. And then comes the last bit, which is the most actionable and the day-to-day activity, and that is operational planning, which is your daily tasks that you have to do, which should add up in terms of a project or a program, which in turn delivers the value or the output that is required to you achieve your mission as an organization. In terms of achieving the objective and the value of an organization to the path towards mission, you need to set clear goals, because without being measured, you will not be able to guide your progress as to if you are really moving in the right direction or not. Therefore, goals should be smart in terms of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Any of these aspects missing would put you on off track in terms of achieving the mission of your organization. There are many industry-specific and general frameworks that you can follow. For example, PCI DSS, which helps the credit card industry to maintain their security posture, but you have many others which may be general to an industry and not specific to a particular industry. They all more or less provide the best security policies and procedures for you to remain compliant and also be security attainable in doing your business in terms of achieving your mission. There is also a widely used ISO 27000 series which covers different aspects for the security systems being used in information technology, and there are different standards to cover the different aspects. Now for the exam, you do not have to memorize the whole series, but it is good to know that ISO 27001 and 27002 are the good ones, which are applicable especially for information security management systems. In terms of standard making bodies, NIST is one of the dominant one from US, and they do provide various special purpose additions and the review of it for you to be able to comply with your information security related aspects, be it cybersecurity, the people, process, or the technology aspect, and how to apply in terms of the CIA triad that we have seen in the previous session. They keep revising it so to remain aligned with the changing times. So therefore, it is important for you to know in terms of what the latest revision that has been populated. But again, you do not have to memorize all of this. You just have to understand the revision or the addition or the deletion that has been done so that the standard remains applicable to the current need as it has been projected by the changing technology. In terms of revision, the privacy and information technology are also tightly correlated, and this is something also being observed by NIST in one of their special edition 853, where they have tightly coupled security and privacy control so that you do not have to follow different standards to achieve your goals. Please have a look at this. I'll stop here. Keep learning, and thank you very much.